Hi guys and welcome back to my channel Popcorn Reviews. I'm Farhad. If you're new to this channel then please smash that subscribe button now. And we have crossed the 800 mark, so thank you so much for your love and support, and let's continue to grow from this landmark. But the film that we are going to be discussing today is the Tamil film directed by Mani Ratnam titled Ponniyin Selvan Part 1. So this is a two-part film that is there, and Part 1 happened to release over the weekend, and it was based on the Chola dynasty that was predominant in the south of India. Now, I am an absolute fan of history. I think it just comes from the fact that I love stories, and so his history is nothing but his story. That's how I look at it, and it just was so many stories within stories that I enjoyed. Even in school, it was one of my favorite subjects, and I was really fascinated by all the chapters that were there, that were divided, and what all stories that the things that used to happen during that time. I think it was very fascinating. However, the history that was taught to us probably was, I think, North India centric, which probably means that the focus was on the Mughal Empire or somewhere in Maharashtra with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, or Maharana Pratap. That the focus was there, but it was never really down. The Nizams. There would be a fleeting chapter somewhere, a fleeting line or a page somewhere, and the Chola dynasty, but nothing in detail. And that is something that I missed out as a kid. And so when I got to know that Mani Ratnam is making a film on the Chola dynasty based on a book by Kalki, I was really excited. I think the announcement came, I think it was close to the end of 2021, probably. I think it was around the same time that the video is being made, last year. And so the film is out within 1 year, so it was pretty fast progression that was there. But the film, did meet with mixed reviews, and I'm going to share my thoughts on what I thought about the film as well as the mixed reviews. So here we go. Ponniyin Selvan Part 1, or let's call it PS1 as the makers also have called it, follows the story about the next in line in the Chola dynasty when their emperor falls sick. So everyone in the vicinity, in the kingdom as well as outside the kingdom, they have a stake and one eye at the throne, on who can be the emperor after the current emperor who is sick passes away. This is the one-liner story, and the story actually is very cerebral, and it requires a lot of focus, to witness the fall of events. The thing is that if you have read the book by Kalki, which goes by the same name, Ponniyin Selvan, um, it you will be able to relate to it better, definitely, if you're well read. Of course, I'm assuming that people down south already have a good amount of idea about the culture that is prevalent around the area where it is set in. I think that they would definitely have a better, so to say, a grip on the subject, and therefore the reviews down south, if you see, it's come spectacular. But anywhere else, I think in North India, it hasn't come well. Probably because I feel that people went in with an anticipation of it being an RRR or a Bahubali, and this is not that kind of a film. In fact, it is one of the few, I don't even remember, no, I can't even say few historical, it is one of the only historical that plays in the second layer, and sometimes even the third layer, which means basically that the entire plot is filled with many subplots within subplots, and so it is very layered and complex. And to truly understand the nuances of the writing, you need to have your undivided attention. The moment you're distracted and there is a scene that just passes out, and you will not know the connection of that to the next scene. Every scene is important, every character is important in this film, and it requires your undivided focus. And that is something that I personally really enjoy in a film, if it challenges you as a viewer. Now, the historicals that we've been part of, the only historical that I could think of way back in time that dealt with slightly in the second layer was the magnum opus Mughal Azam. I think Mughal Azam had many layers which, Although by the time I happened to watch it, it was still palatable considering the fact that I had already watched such films earlier, but for its time, it was definitely a second layer film. But after that, the films like Padmavat or even Bajirao Mastani, any historical that you take, up to a certain extent, Jodha Akbar as well, Panipat, anything, you pick one and it's there. It just, the format of the template rather of the film. You know that it's going to go from point A to point B without really understanding the nuances or the undercurrents, so to say, of the story. And that is where PS1 is very different from any other historical. It just doesn't play on the first layer at all. It's not as if you are just going out and conquering some kingdom and then taking over. It is about the mind games that are there, the games that are played, something like in a Game of Thrones, where there are so many characters and everyone's playing an underlying game for the throne. And that is something that is then PS1, which was, and if your focus is off, then you are not going to enjoy it absolutely. And that criticism, I think, is valid up to a point as well, because the makers need to make it palatable for the audience. Ultimately, it is the audience who are going to give their verdict and are going to purchase the ticket and watch it. I think it is partly valid as well if an audience member comes and tells you that, this is too fast for me, I'm lost. And so then I think then the onus is always on the filmmaker to make it palatable for the audience. However, it did work for me. I was focused during the film. I usually am in all my films and series that I watch. I'm absolutely focused with all my senses ahead, and I absolutely indulged in the storytelling. The underlying stories that were there, the characters, the subplots, the subplot within a subplot. All of that, I really enjoyed that, and that was something that was really, I absolutely adored the guts of the filmmaker. However, there's a minor drawback as well to this. This is the origin story of Ponniyin Selvan, who was one of the most famous Chola kings, and his origin story. But his introduction comes in almost at the halfway mark, and his screen time is absolutely not as much as I had expected it to be. Played by Jayam Ravi. I'll come to the performances in a bit, but his performance. I mean, the introduction to his character could have been a little ahead. I understand this is an origin story and just wants to set up the things for a spectacular part 2, I feel. But having said that, a little more screen time would have helped the audience to sink into the drama and root for the protagonist, something that was then Bahubali. Again, I don't want to be comparing it to Bahubali because Bahubali is a different film. It's commercial, it's in the first layer. But in this case, when you are giving an origin story in terms of its structure, I feel that's little more amount of the protagonist, which is Ponniyin Selvan, should have been there. And I think that was a minor drawback in the screenplay that was there. Yes, the action sequences left a lot to be desired, except the last finale act that was there entirely in the sea, I think, and all the action sequences were very haphazardly done, which I think kind of took away the charm from the film. But overall, the screenplay definitely did work for me. I think it was very cerebral and very immersive, and it required your undivided attention for sure. Uh, Also, coming to the technical aspects, I really enjoyed the dialogues. The dialogues were very cerebral, and it was basically the entire nature of the drama was conversational, which in a way makes it like a niche. But I still did enjoy the drama. It was very effective in its communication. If you are willing to immerse, it's basically how much you as a viewer want to immerse in that subject. If you are willing to immerse, then you will indulge in it and you will really like it. But if you're not willing to, you're not going to like it. It's as simple as that. The music by A.R. Rahman and the BGM are spectacular. I mean, individually, if you hear A.R. Rahman's score, you would be like, oh, it might be okay. It's not great, not Rahman at his best. But if you see it with the film, you will come to know that what a genius he is. The entire story that progresses, it's well, placed in the screenplay. I think he's done a fabulous job in communicating many sequences through his music as well in the background that I'm seeing. The cinematography, I think, was fair. It did a good job, although the action sequences were not well captured for me. It was just off the radar. But the set design that was there, that was very lavish. It is definitely a visual spectacle of sorts. Also the costumes and the editing, I think they did a splendid job in that as well. Coming to the performances, I think the performances are spectacular. I think Aishwarya Lakshmi and Trisha, I think they look very pretty and they did a fabulous job. Chian Vikram, I'm a fan of Chian Vikram, and I think he's an actor who doesn't get really his credit sometimes due to the choice of roles that is there. But here, that his role required an element of madness to him, and boy, what a performance that delivers. Absolutely spectacular. Also. Karthi, I think he did a pretty good job. He has a quietly charming presence and he excels in combat sequences as well. Jayam Ravi, who plays Ponniyin Selvan, I'm assuming his character is going to take off in second part. It has to take off. It is his story, and some of the other characters are going to play a vital cog. Like I think Shobita's character is going to play a vital cog. This is my gut saying. Or Aishwarya Lakshmi's character is going to play a vital cog. Which brings me to Aishwarya Rai, which is I was happiest seeing her on screen again. I think her character was this calculative type, but also very deceptive with her looks. And it was she was perfectly cast in this film, and I think she did a brilliant job. More expressed her eyes so well. Through her eyes, she conveyed so many things, and I think that was something that was very refreshing. And the film, that where it ends, I feel that it nicely sets it up for part two, where all the action is going to lie. So I am really excited for part two, considering the fact that it ended on a cliffhanger with a nice little twist, which is going to be very crucial to part two. And but for people who are going to venture out, please be focused. If you want, switch off your phones. Do not be distracted. If possible, go in the film with with the subtitles. If you're watching the Hindi dubbed version, then check where the subtitles are and go for that show. The subtitles here will help. If you do not understand Tamil and still want to go into a Tamil with the English subtitles, going to be doubly hard in this film. You need to be focused. I'm repeatedly saying to enjoy this film, and but it is worth it. The experience is worth it, and I really have liked Ponniyin Selvan Part One, PS1. So if you're liking this video, please smash that like button. I have written my full review of Ponniyin Selvan Part 1 on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S. Please visit that, the link of which is in the description box below. Let me know your thoughts on the film, and if there are any points that I have missed out on. Also, throw me some recommendations. I am going to be back tomorrow as well. Yes, I'll be back tomorrow as well with another video. And subscribe to the channel. It helps a small creator like me, and it's you've been so lovely that we all have been civil, and this is like a community building that I have been trying to do, and I cannot do it without your help. So this community building, I want to build this community in something special, and let's see how much we can build it together. So then please subscribe to the channel, press that bell icon. Also follow me on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. All the links are in the description box below. So then until tomorrow, thank you so much.